Welcome to Shawnae's house. I am Shawnae, the fabulous food alchemist. I was able to embrace that name probably a few months ago because I realized that there was magic happening in my food. Comfort food, soul food, food that tastes really good, that reminds you of home, is a task that not a lot of people can actually hit the mark on. Like, you'll taste some really, really good food along the way in your life. You'll journey and go to many different restaurants and you'll try a bunch of different chefs, but you'll never really meet a whole bunch of people that remind you of your grandmother or your aunt or somebody like that. Had a really amazing time sitting down in the restaurant last week and being able to provide a dinner to a gentleman who came in, not really sure what his experience was going to be, but he was taking the food out of the restaurant and he decided to sit down. What was really powerful about this was he was almost adamant about taking that food and going home for the experience. Now, I have learned throughout the course of me growing this business, Shawnae's house is truly starting to feel like home for me, but for all of my patrons that walk in to the door. And when this man sat down and he decided to open up his to-go dishes and eat and break bread amongst the others that were in the restaurant, he couldn't help himself but to scream out, "Grandma, I love you and I miss you so much," as he continued to just shovel forkfuls of macaroni and cheese and smothered collard green and eating his fried chicken breast and tearing up that cornbread. You saw him almost as a child enjoying a dish prepared by his grandmother. Which brings me to today's episode. Childlike dishes are something that we love to eat. And we love to eat those because they're tied to our memories. They're tied to the things that we go through in life. We sometimes tap into these memories and we say, man, I really would love a delicious piece of chicken, just like my grandmother prepared. But what if, just what if, the dish was something just as simple, but elevated like a grilled cheese sandwich? Holy moly, I can't even tell you how we are getting ready to step into my kitchen right here in Shawnae's house. And we're getting ready to bring back a memory that I know is going to turn your whole taste bud and feeling and the aroma in your house upside down. Like a child on a monkey bar, you are going to eat this grilled cheese and forget all about life's worries with paying bills and having to make sure the rent is on time and your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your child, whatever they're doing, they're screaming. You're not going to think about any of that when you dip this deliciously elevated grown-up grilled cheese into a fabulous tomato-based dipping sauce. Now, when I tell you this tomato-based dipping sauce is going to remind you of that canned soup you were eating back in the day when your grandma used to pop the can and put it in that tiny pot and brew it up almost as if it was hers, we're going to do something a tiny bit different. We are going to take some really organic, delicious, wonderfully spiced tomatoes, and they're going to be diced, some are going to be peeled and stewed, and then we're going to take a local product that is preparing wonderful, what they call gravies in the Italian world. Tomato sauce or spaghetti sauce or puttanesca sauce. You pick your name, that's what it is. But we're using that sauce to dip our fabulous grilled cheese in. Now, I don't know if you decide that you want to choose a really elevated bread, but what I did was I got the bread that I could afford. Now, you know, in the pandemic has really taught us some things. It taught us to money manage. It taught us to pick things that were more cost effective and according to our bills and our will. But we don't want to miss out on flavor and we don't want to miss out on things that are good. So I picked an artisanal bread. Now, made by one of the famous who are out there creating breads and cakes and pastries all day long is Sara Lee. And I went to Sara Lee just because it reminded me of my grandmother Lois Augusta Mosley Henry. Now, I know later on down the line you'll get to learn those wonderful, fabulous, historic things about me being the 8th generation to the first free African American man to purchase property right here on Staten Island. But that's not really the lesson that I'm going to teach you today. I'm going to bring you back home to when you were about 5, 6, 7, or 8, and you sat down and you ate a warm, ooey gooey, delicious grilled cheese sandwich prepared by somebody that really did love you. And then we're gonna make a quick little sauce that's gonna take that all the way to the next level. Because one thing grown-ups need to learn how to do is grow up. We have to sit down and gather ourselves and know that every meal we prepare for a friend or a family member doesn't have to be a 5 or a full course meal. It doesn't have to be a lamb shank. It doesn't have to be asabuco. It doesn't have to be shrimp and lobster. It can be a grilled cheese, and it can be a really great sauce, and we can sit down in front of our friends and we can have a good time, and we are not going to feel like we've been robbed of a meal. So if you're ready, get your bread, get your butter, get your sauce, get your favorite cheese, and get yourself in the kitchen, because we're at Shawnae's house, and today it's all about being a grown-up. Are you ready to go with me? I'm ready to take you there. This is kitchen therapy. Let's go. We are getting ready to put this grilled cheese together. Now, I don't want to waste your time or mine, right? So, putting a quick sauce together. This is for our dipping. We go to put our grown-up grilled cheese in there. I'm putting some stuff on the side. You probably are wondering what the heck is going on over there. I'm putting some Michael's gravy in there. That's an Italian place in Brooklyn that decided to put out some really authentic sauce. I'm going to just mix that quickly without making a mess. I love these cute little gadget things that I find in the stores. So now, I think good food is just food that you don't really be doing too much with. You have to do it without really stressing out, right? So this sauce is going to be quick because we're going to stick it in a bowl, and you're only really using it to create the dip. Dip should be easy. So what I like to do is take their sauce, no shade. Your sauce is the bomb. But we have to add things to it in order for it to be ours. So what I do is I put a little bit of Parmesan cheese in it. I got a nice little mixing blend of some really, really delicious herbs. Thyme, rosemary, basil, all that good stuff. And some garlic. And we're going to put it in here with our sauce. And I would this is where you overdo it because you want it to be identified as Italian, right? And then you're going to take some butter. My grandmother used to put butter in her sauce. I didn't know why until I realized that it actually tastes kind of good. It gets like a velvety, soft, smooth kind of taste. And it doesn't taste so bitter sometimes. Sometimes when you take things out of a can or a jar, it can almost taste like the can or the jar. And I don't know if the butter has anything to do with it because butter is just better. But we're going to add that right in there. And so like I said before, Grandma used to make your grilled cheese sandwich. She used to pop that soup open out of a can. She used to heat it up a little bit. She might have added a few little things in her soup. And then she poured that in a bowl and got it ready for you so that you can dip your grilled cheese. Here, we're going to make sure that we use some organic products. So I went out and grabbed some organic peeled tomatoes and some organic diced tomatoes. And then I put a little bit of sauce in there. Really, really quick and easy. And just kind of knock that right on off. We're going to put that right in our bowl. Remember, it's not overdoing it. We're just doing grown-up stuff. Right? We're doing kiddie food, sort of, almost in a sense. But this is grown-up kiddie food. So now I learned how to say the word charcuterie. Now, anybody that knows anything about a charcuterie board, you know that these things are taking over the world, right? Everybody wants to put olives and grapes and meat and cheese and crackers and all these wonderful things on a tray. And we want to make those things look fabulous before we even get to eat them. So that's the grown-up portion or the grown-up idea, the creative idea of creating this grown-up grilled cheese. Charcuterie boards have all kinds of cheese. Aged part, you got your aged sharp cheddar, you have your provolone, your fresh mozzarella. I even threw a couple pieces of American cheese on here. And then I threw some fresh spinach on there. This is only for decor, garlic, of course, and then you have your pepperonis and your salami. Anybody that doesn't want to do a pork product, then I would say make sure that you crisp up some nice turkey bacon and use that to fill in your sandwich. So now, this is what's going to elevate the grilled cheese sandwich. We're going to elevate it by making sort of like the crust of your grilled cheese like garlic toast, like garlic bread. So we want to take some of our melted garlic butter, and what I did here was I roasted some garlic in a 400-degree oven, put a little bit of olive oil on that fresh garlic clove with a little bit of salt and pepper, and I wrapped it in foil and put it right in the oven and let it sit for 45 minutes. Squeeze it, blend it, and mix it with the butter to infuse it, and you got garlic butter. And so we got some garlic butter in there, but then we're going to butter our bread and make sure that your fire is down nice and sort of low. Butter your bread. And just like you would do when you're making like spaghetti or lasagna at home, when you go to make that garlic bread with that really fresh Italian bread, you're going to make it almost like that. So you're going to take some butter and some seasoning, some Italian seasoning, mixed with, this has garlic in it, ground granulated garlic, ground powder if you want to use. And we're going to toast that right up. So this grilled cheese is already talking to my whole soul right now, because who doesn't love garlic bread and who doesn't love provolone cheese is what we're going to put in here. Fresh mozzarella, because it's going to get nice and melty, ooey gooey and delicious, right? And then to make it a little bit more grown up, we're going to put some fresh spinach in it, because we got to grow up. We need our vegetables, people. We don't need to be out here just stocking ourselves up with cured meats and sodium and not making sure that we're taking care of our health, right? And then we put our salami or pepperoni in it if you'd like. You want to do another layer of cheese just to make sure that that thing is wonderful on the inside, just as much as it's going to be crusty and delicious on the outside. Take your other slice of bread, get it all buttered up kind of nice like that. Sprinkle your seasoning right on there with your garlic and your fresh herbs. And then we're going to post that bad boy right on top. Now you can turn up your heat just a little bit more if you'd like, just because now we're really like watching it. You want to grab your spatula and you want to make sure that it's toasting nicely. Now you're going to give it a few minutes on medium high heat. And you really want that thing to be golden brown, crusty. You want it to taste like you just cracked open that Italian bread and threw that butter on there with that Parmesan cheese. And we're going to finish it with all those fabulous things. And then on the inside, it's talking to you like pizza. Like that cheese is going to melt. The mozzarella, that fresh mozzarella, and that provolone are going to melt. And those things are going to start turning into a Mamma Mia party, right? And it is golden brown. You see that? That is a golden brown, delicious, just, I'm already getting ready to bite the sandwich. Now, my grandma, when she used to make grilled cheese sandwiches, one of the things that she used to say is, don't squish the bread. And what I just did was, I did everything in the world that I wasn't supposed to do. Squishing the bread. You're supposed to let it rise and like puff up so that the cheese has room to melt. But if you choose to squish it, like I used to when I was a kid, then you knew that the cheese was definitely going to be melting. It was going to start to squeeze out all over the pan, and it was going to get all over the place, and that was going to tell you that it was done, right? But we don't want to really do that. We want some body. We want volume in the sandwich. We want it to really look like something. So we don't really want to squish it too much. So what you do is you turn your heat damn near off, right? Because now what you're doing is giving this sandwich an opportunity to cook. You want to make sure that the cheese marries with the meat and the spinach is doing its thing in there. It has it is its own show in there, and it stands out, right? So as you can see, right on the side of the sandwich, it's melting. It is saying, Shawnae, you just grew up. You just, ooh, Shawnae, now you talking to me. You talking to my soul right now. Because that is that fresh Italian bread that we eat when we get into one of those fabulous restaurants like Carmine's that I just went to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub a little bit of this garlic butter right on the sandwich, right? I want to make sure that it gets good on there because I want the garlic to really come out. That's something that I want to speak to us when we get ready to eat this grilled cheese because yes, a grilled cheese, fine. We all have had grilled cheese in our lives. We've all ran in the house, rushed, starving, hungry, famished, whatever you want to call it. We threw that American slice in there. We might have got crazy and threw a piece of bacon in there. But when you're doing this with intention, This is on another level. You want to be satisfied enough to go to bed after you just ate a grilled cheese like you were on punishment. But you didn't want it to feel like punishment. You wanted it to feel like elevation. You wanted to feel like this was a simple, hearty dish that would remind you of home and show you that your grandmother taught you some of the worst or maybe even the best survival tips in life. It was like eating a grilled cheese sandwich may not make you feel as rich as you want to be, but when you know how to elevate it, it's rich just in the experience, right? So now we're ready because I'm not going to overdo it. Nothing that I do is overdone. It's done just right. Taking that grilled cheese out, and we are going to get a knife, and we're going to elevate it just the way that it looks, right? So I got some fresh parsley here. Before I go to cut that grilled cheese sandwich, I want to show you what matters. When you go into a restaurant and you spend $45 on a pasta dish, right? And you're like, what the heck did I spend all that money for? You spent it because the chef decided to sprinkle parsley all over your food. They did something that made you feel a little bit more elevated, right? You didn't go in and get a Happy Meal. You went and got something that was serious. So we sprinkled a little parsley on top for look, presentation, because this is like for a grown-up gathering, a game night. You know, with this pandemic, nobody's really going outside. We're not really doing too much to gather because we want to be safe. So if you're doing something like this where it gives everybody maybe the opportunity to cook their own grilled cheese or sit down and enjoy themselves, this is a nice play on a game night, a kid's night, or an experience. Now that is a grilled cheese. I'll just throw it there so you can take a look at that right there, right? But then I'm definitely going to like eat it in your face. I know you might not really be ready for that, but that's what I'm going to do. Because that's what we do. We make sure we try our dish, right? That is a wonderfully easily made grown-up grilled cheese with a little bit of a dipping sauce, tomato based, and it's got spinach in there, it's got fresh mozzarella, it's got a little bit of pepperoni and some salami, provolone cheese. Who doesn't want something like that? I know I'm like starving, so I'm gonna tear it up. Just give me a minute. Thank you, God, for the food in Jesus' name. Amen. The garlic bread, bomb. Totally over the top. The sauce complements it where it almost tastes like I just ate a slice of pizza. The spinach just makes me feel like Popeye, like I got my muscles back. But it's there, and it's beautiful, and so I know I needed that. But that garlic bread, that's dangerous. Y'all better make this grilled cheese. Get yourself all the way ready. Because that right there, I can go to bed at night. Put me on punishment as far as I'm concerned. Thanks, Grandma. I love you.